Hello, hello. My name is Danita Jones. My family calls me Civic Minded Jones or sometimes Civic Minded Citizen. And I'm so excited today to invite Seba and Pooh Kamut to to our event here. Because one thing from talking to various civic experts, um, all roads lead to community and forming community. When I'm talking about how do we unify our country. And so it is my pleasure to have Seba and Poo Kamut here. He is a he's a founding member of an association of independent Kemetic Egyptian priests, priestesses, and monks. As a Kemetic priest, he has provided spiritual and psychosocial counseling. He is the founder of the Kemetic Aha and Sema Association, and he works as a high conflict community mediator. So let's welcome Inpu, Seba Inpu. Woohoo!
Greetings, greetings. Glad to be present.
So, first of all, I want to ask you, why did you get into this work?
Well, you could almost say that I've been groomed and raised for this moment to be in this work. That I come from a family of preachers and farmers and chairs of the deacon board, the deaconess board, evangelists on both sides of the family. And so I've always been around people who served our people served the community, not just in a religious way, but also in terms of the hip hop community, in terms of aspects of my family. One of my elders, Edwin Birdsong, was influential in addressing the issue of sampling in the early days of hip hop when it became big issue in the mid 80s. And he was able to bring together musicians and hip hop artists as a way to address how sampling was going to occur, and in a way that was beneficial to all the parties and allowed hip hop to really grow and expand and have its golden age in the late 80s, early 90s. So my family has been engaged both in California in that way, in Los Angeles in that way, and then internationally through hip hop in those ways. And I'm continuing that and in a sense returning back to some of the models we've done in violence prevention, community expansion, and helping people to really understand different ways and different ways that you can access and community build. It doesn't have to look the same way every time.
Okay, cool, great. So, from your perspective, as a Kemetic priest and mediator, what are the key elements required to build a strong and resilient community?
Well, first, I mean, we're going to take the simple building block and say family. That I was really fortunate to have a strong family, people that love being around each other.
Mhm.
People, and by being around each other, I meant that what I mean is I'm less than 5 blocks walking from my mother's house. I'm about 20 blocks from my aunt's house. Most of my cousins live a few blocks from my aunt. And so we live, those of us that are in LA are close. We still live close to one another. We still on the weekends, it could be, I was dating a sister. She's like, I'm not going to see you this weekend, but bring me some cake. And I'm like, bring you some cake? What do you mean bring you some cake? She was like, I know your family going to get together and somebody going to have a cake.
Somebody gonna sell some cake.
Yeah, somebody going to have some cake. So it was, we love being around each other. We love hanging out with one another. We have similar interests, but different interests in terms of how we interact. And so that is the amazing part of it, is that we're all wearing multiple hats. And as a result, when we come together, it's not just us, kind of chewing the fat or jonesing with one another. We're actually also community building. What are you doing now? Oh, and this is when I say community, many of us now, my elder would teach me and says that we live in neighborhoods now.
Mhm.
We don't live in community because when I go to a dentist that looks like me. I go to a doctor that looks like me. I go to a dry cleaners that looks like me. And this is no disrespect to other communities. It's probably very similar to their experience as well. And so that as those dollars circulate, they recirculate in the same place. so that when I look at who the sponsors are for the community groups, those are the places where I go eat or I go shop or I go, bank. So that's what I mean when I talk about community. So that there is this interrelationship, there is a shared perspective on an outlook on the world, even though we may not have the same so-called politics.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different thing. Our concern is for the betterment of our neighborhood and community. We are invested in one another. So, my family sold food, grew food and sold it, but we're also, workers. One of my elders was a day laborer when the family moved out here from the South in the 40s and 50s, and then got on to a regular gig, and
Mm-hmm.
then, got into the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And from there was influential in city politics, working with a chaplain. And so for us, it's about how do we connect? What can we do with where we are to make it better with what I have right now? And for
Mm-hmm.
many of us, it's the very simple things. What are the things that you have where you are? So in terms of community, it's cultivated. And that's why you hear me talking like farmer, like business owner, that it's a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And relationships must be cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to know how to, a couple of things, eat bitter, which I'll
I would say, what does that mean?
well, what it means is sometimes you have to sacrifice before you can reap the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
The benefits, we'll call them. Everything has consequence. However, most folk only look at the reward as opposed to some of the risks that may happen.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when we're in community, those risks and rewards are all shared.
Mm-hmm.
We rise or sink together.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about community, it's not just going to the same place to worship or we all worship the same way, because we don't.
Mm-hmm.
We worship differently.
Right.
And it's not about who or whom you serve. It's about once you get up from that service, how do you help the people in your neighborhood and your community? What are you doing to benefit those around you?
Right. And then
How
that's
are you of service?
right. And then while you're being a part of the community, you get to see what the community needs and wants are. And as a collective, then you can take it to, if it's government that you need, to help
Hmm.
or to help inspire to do certain things for your schools or what have you to
Hmm.
in betterment the community, you know?
Indeed. And sometimes it's not always government. Sometimes it's what are we going to do for ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
How can we gather and get together and do what we need?
Mm-hmm.
So you have things like, I'll give you a crop swap, which is here in LA, which is a wonderful organization which helps people grow their own food. And then periodically, because they help you plant and grow your food, you then once a month or so go to other people's homes and not only do the planting, but help them swap. And when you have extra vegetables and fruit, they then take that and they donate that to the food bank so that those who are in need can actually get some as well. So that's our traditions that
Mm-hmm.
we not only help one another collectively, but we help the collective with the bounty because we know that we'll be receiving in abundance from doing the work.
Right, right.
And it's a collective work. It's not an individual work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so going back to comedic, how I was wondering, how do ancient comedic principles um, inform your approach to modern community building?
Okay, I'm going to use a Dinka symbol from Ghana that many may be familiar with to explain that. Was that it's a symbol called a concept called Sankofa.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to go back and get it, meaning that there are a great number of things from our history and past that we can go back and fetch and bring and contextualize into the modern context and allow us to learn from our ancestors and apply the principles. For example, there's a book called The Teachings of Ptah Hotep, the best modern English translation by Dr. Asa Hilliard, Larry Williams, Nia Damali, where you learn about how to be patient, how to listen well. It's a book of proverbs and aphorisms that was revised 3,500 years ago. So
Mhm.
it was the oldest complete wisdom book on the planet. So that's one.
Yeah.
That's one example. The other example is that the more we do our history and study, we find that our African culture has never left us, even as we've come here to the diaspora. As you heard, many we lived in families lived in compounds. No, they
Mhm.
didn't all live in the same house. They had little houses that were close nearby. You just heard me talk about my family as one family. We
Mhm.
live not far from one another and close enough to
Right.
almost have these little compounds. A lot of the way we live, the foods that we eat are part of our community because we would grow our food, whether it would be rice, whether it would be the technology of aqueducts used to implement and grow rice at an industrial level, which we did in South Carolina, which made South Carolina so profitable.
Mhm.
We have to remember part of what makes us a community is the memory.
Yeah.
Okay, remembering Roebuck, right? Not Sears and Roebuck. The Roebuck was the
Mhm.
guy that repaired everything. Okay, so in other words, we were able to fix it. So we all know that person in our neighborhood, our community. However, what is the legacy of that person?
Mhm.
What is their story and how is it being continued? Because this is where we've kind of lost a piece of it. I'm also a practicing martial artist.
Mhm.
And so I enter community from that perspective, helping to remind folks that when we're out at these community events, you have our martial arts community members who are watching to make sure the event is safe. Even though they're not part of security, they're
Mhm.
not police, they're not any of those things. They're just men and women and young people who have been trained and know how to de-escalate situations and how to
Mhm.
help communicate with people so that they can maintain harmony at many of our community events. And I had the good fortune of coming up in an environment where I was demonstrating the martial arts and community, trying to gather attention to remind our people that we have to move our body. It's
Mhm.
not about, because again, when we say community, there's unity in that, and there's a you in that, you and an
Mhm.
I.
Yeah.
So UNITY. I'm going to get into all that, but you want to look at it from the standpoint of Ubuntu, or I did not get and learn all these things by myself. It was given to me by my people. And
Mhm.
I am not able to go out and do all those things separately, but I do have some unique things about myself that can be helpful to others. But without my people and we don't exist separately. We coexist together. We co-create together.
Mhm.
And so in that, I pay homage to all of my teachers that have come forward and the names and the things that they taught me. So I come from this martial angle to help remind people that learning how to move your body and defend your body and your personal intimate space and being able to communicate that is very important, particularly in our community, particularly for our women.
Mhm. How so? Can you
Well,
elaborate?
sure. I mean, for black women, the most likely man to kill them is a black man.
Mm.
And so until we begin addressing and healing those areas that need to be addressed within our community, you see what I'm saying now about community?
Mhm.
We have to heal.
Mhm.
This healing has to happen. There
Yeah.
has to be a sense of addressing the patriarchy, the misogyny, the misogynoir,
Mhm.
the emotional intelligence, the vocabulary that's needed. So I'm offering this to men in community as a way for us to create space where we can bond over something beyond sports or
Mhm.
violence, where we can tell another man, I love you, where he can hear it and it's not at his funeral.
Mhm.
So this is about expanding and growing community where we can have intimate conversation that doesn't just exist at the barbershop, that we can create and cultivate these environments where it doesn't have to be gender exclusive. But what we want to be able to do is to cultivate this place of healing. And most folks are like, you said you're a martial artist. Where's the community? Where's the healing? Well, there's a particular culture that exists within martial, Mantu arts, aha, healing, self-defense arts. We have our own culture about how we greet one another, how we treat one another. Safest place I've ever been is at a martial arts conference.
Hmm. Yeah.
Nobody's starting no stuff. Everybody's good. 'Cause everyone understands the consequences of violence.
Right.
What happens is when you get people who want rights but do not understand responsibility and relationship,
Hmm.
'cause those are the key. Not the right, not that you have the right to do it. What is your relationship in this moment to this person or persons? And is this the thing? What is your responsibility?
That is so, gosh, yeah. What is your responsibility in that moment, you know?
Yeah,
Or, yeah.
yeah. Because they may not need you to be a fighter. They may need you to just hold a chair or ask somebody if they're thirsty.
Hmm.
And that can restore the peace in the place.
Yeah.
And so we have our gang intervention workers, our violence interrupters, depending on what part of the country you're in, who are
Hmm.
doing a great deal of this work as well to prevent the violence at the street level, building community, helping folks remember that, you say these are your streets, but you don't own nothing here. You're
Hmm.
it's not that you're terrorizing our people, but what you deem as valuable, let's see if you have these other options and choices and you want to see something else with your life.
Hmm.
Aren't you tired of this?
Yeah.
And for many of us, we remember what community was like because we remember grandmom and them, what it used to be
Exactly.
like growing up. To
Yeah.
let
I
your
miss
children
that so much,
play.
actually. Hmm.
So then what are we doing to make it real? Where are
Hmm.
we going? Who are we around? So outside of just, oh, I go to the game, I have my, my sorority or my fraternity or my Elks, I have my, okay, what are you doing to cultivate the space where, even if it's just to go to the park,
Hmm. Yeah.
how are we utilizing the spaces in our community?
That's a wonderful question. Those two, actually, the responsibility one and the
Yeah.
last statement that you just said, you know, if you can
Mhm.
repeat it too, just what are we,
How,
you,
what are we going to cultivate to use our community?
right.
So
Hmm.
like go to the park, ride a bike, skate, or as the common meme for black men, frolicking.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just to frolic, to sit down at a park and watch the birds,
Right.
or look at
Yeah.
some flowers open as you sit next to the water and the lotus flower rises in with the sun.
Hmm.
Uh, we all need to move our bodies. We all need good food, clean water,
Hmm.
and we all want to not be dependent on other communities for the
Hmm.
things that sustain us.
Hmm.
And in our case, we have the ability still to begin to control the means of how we feed ourselves, how we do a great deal.
Hmm.
Right now, even though we exist within cities, many of us live in some of the most segregated places in the country.
Hmm. Yeah.
And yet we live in fear from knowing these people near us as opposed to cultivating the relationship
Hmm.
to grow and expand. And
Yeah.
I have four daughters. I have five children. My daughters don't all live close, and I remind them, do you know who's in the apartment next to you? Who's in the house near you? Do you know your
Right.
neighbors?
Yeah.
How well do you know them? Do
Right.
they know your name? Do they know that you got people?
Hmm.
And when my daughters were in college, it was, we had the good fortune of being able, all of them didn't go to college. Three of the four, one is on her own path and she's amazing. She's an entrepreneur. And so she's doing things that are amazing for us. So we're proud of all of our children. And my youngest is in middle school. So,
Yeah.
this is community,
Right. And
so that when you go somewhere, I could go to a market and leave and not worry, and no, no, just step away, not worry about how my children are going to behave, what's going to happen, because the people in that store know them and have seen them from the time they were little and have watched them grow up.
Mm-hmm. You know, when you mention this of, talking about to your daughters, do you know your neighbors? Do they know you have people and so forth? When I first moved to Los Angeles about 30 years ago, from Chicago, one of my
Wow.
biggest complaint was the lack of community. I felt like a lack of community here, because I'm used to saying hi to, everyone that I see in my neighborhood
Hmm.
or beyond. But I knew who my neighbors were. And when I first moved out here, it seemed like everyone was looking at me all strange by me trying to engage. But I'm like, but that's what we do.
Yeah.
But it was a very different environment for me and to try to get used to how to interact here. So,
Well, I
yeah.
would also offer that a lot of people here ain't from here,
Right.
so
Mm-hmm.
they don't really know how to. Because what you left in Chicago is what LA is. The difference is that because LA is so spread out, when you get to a particular area, if you don't know who can plug you in and get you into the community and the things that are happening, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get in. It's going to take you a while because you're going to have to
Mm-hmm.
find, because there are vibrant, thriving little pockets all over the city. But if you, wherever you are, if you don't know the people,
Mm-hmm.
and again, because we are always seeking to protect what we have, even new folks, it's like, okay, like, I'll give you an example. I was in Brooklyn and I was visiting one of my brothers, and this was a very heavy Panamanian community. I speak Spanish. I walk through. I may appear Panamanian to some folks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm walking through, and everybody's giving me to this. Everybody.
Yeah.
And I got to his place, and I said, "Oh, I'm walking through here dragging bags, coming
Mm-hmm.
off the train, but I haven't been here in several years, so these people don't remember. They don't know
Right.
me. So I'm walking through the neighborhood, and they're like, well, who's he here to see? Why is
Mm-hmm.
he here? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not that they're not welcoming. It's that did nobody say they had family coming, the people visiting? Who are you, and why are you
Right.
walking through? And we gonna watch you to let you know you being watched because
Watch.
you in the community.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're not gonna be rude or disrespectful, but you gonna know we watching you. We see you.
Exactly. Right. We see you.
We see you.
Right. We see you, you know.
And once we see you with somebody we know, then it's like,
It's like,
hey,
hey
oh, there you
there. How
go.
you doing?
Yeah, that's that's all it is.
Yeah.
And I would say, when you came to Los Angeles, like I'm a survivor. Survivor, yeah, it's a bit extra, but I lived through the crack era here in Los Angeles, and so
Mm-hmm.
the drive-bys, and so
Mm-hmm.
there's a certain amount of certain neighborhoods. If they, we know each other by the cars people drive here,
Mm-hmm.
and so we don't have to know who you are. We see your car, we watch it, and it's not as like that anymore. My daughters always poke fun at me. He's like, Dad, you don't have to like, it's in me. I gotta know who's coming down the street. To see if we have
Uh,
to get in the house quickly. We have to move. It's a habit that
right.
once developed, it's a hyper vigilance that is, earned.
Mm-hmm.
We want community safety, and so that's what it's about.
Yeah. My what are the biggest challenges people face, when trying to build or maintain a community? And, how can they overcome them?
Transparency and authenticity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You got to be real. You got to walk your talk. And most
Mm-hmm.
importantly, when people give you money, you have to show where the money goes and how it's being spent and that it's doing exactly what you said it's going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because our people have gone through so many of these situations where people got funny with the money.
Mm-hmm.
And so there have been some nascent, strong community building efforts even here in the last 15 years. However, when you get funny with the money, now the other piece is rumor control. You
Say it
know,
again.
how
Say
to
them.
teach rumor control,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
gossip,
Mm-hmm.
uh, not having effective conflict resolution strategies for how to address disagreement. Conflict is natural, it's going to happen. No friction, no movement. So we understand that is going to be conflict. However, how we have a history of peacemaking in our own traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time for like the teachings of Ptahhotep that I mentioned earlier on, is one such book that talks about it. And there are many within our traditions that talk about peacemaking. We have great warriors, men and women as well, but we don't spend as much time talking about the diplomats and the peacemakers.
The diplomats and the peacemakers. Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that is how community is maintained. And I'll give you an example because what makes Africa so special is that on Northeast Africa, when you look at Kemet or Egypt, as it's come 3,500 years of a consistent culture, no breaks,
Hmm.
four golden ages before there was a Greece. The language is the same. So there are certain things that are unique about that, longer than any other place. You come to West Africa before the Europeans were coming and the advent of the Arabs and Islam, you have these long stretches of peace, and then there's intergroup conflict. It's over resources, and there are ways that they use to address that and have peace. And of course, there were ways to vigorously discuss that as well.
Hmm.
And that, unfortunately, some of these warrior traditions have led now to such ego and such patriarchy. We got to let go of the patriarchy.
Hmm.
This is the way it is now. And get to something that's much more balanced.
For sure. Definitely. It's high time for that, you know?
That's gonna kill us all.
Yep. Can you share an example of a community you've helped strengthen or transform and what made the process successful?
Okay, real simple. That I haven't ever done any of that work. It's always the people doing the work. It's not me.
Okay.
I am merely a helper along the way that maybe, hey, did you see this? Did y'all see that? Okay, and bringing them around. Hey, how about we put this, make a plan, and then you think we can work together? So that's not me.
Hmm.
I'm just a little tiny piece in it. It's the people that are doing the work. I believe in the people,
Hmm.
and the
And
people are
back and
brilliant.
hmm
And if we afford them the opportunity to be fully informed, to be able to collectively work together to identify their issues, prioritize their issues, and work together to get them resolved, we can get our needs met. Everybody,
yeah.
because there's enough for everybody. So let me say this. So I've had the great fortune of doing some work on the island of Guam,
Hmm.
addressing issues there between the ethnic groups.
Hmm.
On the island of the Oahu, the main island in Hawaii, of doing work there, and then here in the greater Los Angeles area, in terms of done some work in schools, in community around violence prevention and gang intervention,
Hmm.
around bringing the key players together to address so that schools were safer, so that the violence has decreased, and working with some amazing, amazing partners to do so. So again, it's again, you'll never hear me talk about what I did because it wasn't me. It's the group, it was the collaboration, and it was the people that did this work. So if anything, I can say sustained community engagement. So the people hang in there and they continue to do the work and learn and inform themselves and find ways to reach. And again, you celebrate your little success. So
Hmm.
when you reach a milestone that you have done the work, you celebrate that, and then you keep going because you know you still have more to do. But not but when you get to the place where you have addressed all of the concerns that you had, now we can look and evaluate. Well, did we do it the way we wanted to? Did we
Hmm.
reach the goals that we want to reach? How did we reach them? So we can now evaluate what we've done and then look at it and say, well, here's how we can move forward. And then also, there are different models of community engagement, community involvement, community organizing. So it really depends on which one that you choose that works for your community. And I know I'm speaking kind of quick and we're moving kind of faster, but I really want folks to understand I'm not here to talk about one way. I'm here to talk about a process
Hmm.
because what works in one community is not going to work in another community. But they can maybe take some pieces and say, and look at it in a modular way. Oh, I like this piece. I mean, we can put this over here. Oh, we're doing something similar. We can do that. So I'll give you one example. There was a young kid who got murdered in the Inland Empire, and I went there to do some work, and he was It was school related, but it was also community related. So I went there, and it was also race related. So we did the work to bring the community together, to have community meetings around what was going on. And then we worked in the schools. And what we did in the schools was it was a high school level, but we knew that it was impacting a larger community. So we had the program run at the high school, and we did all the high school kids. And then because high school kids are kind of cool to the middle school kids, we
Mm.
took the high school kids and had them facilitate the program at the middle school.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
so now we have middle school and high school speaking the same language. We
Mm-hmm.
then took the middle school kids who are cool to the elementary kids, and we did a simplified version. And all the middle school kids now got that same program done. Then we took the high school kids again and had them train their parents. So now that everybody connected to the schools in this incident who wanted to come was now trained in this process and was able to see together. And so this issue, and so that was one community.
Yeah. And that's a great example of like each one teach one. So taking one group, and talking
Yeah,
to training another group and or informing and yeah, and going from each generation in a way.
yeah. And I'll share
So,
where I got that because that's not my idea. When I was in graduate school, there was an elder brother of mine. I forgot Julian Deladio. It was a brother from Congo who came, and he was in his 40s at the time in the doctoral program with me. And I was like, why you wait so late to come get your doctorate? He said, well, in Inpu it's like this. I'm not going to butcher his accent. What he said was, when I graduated high school, because of the challenges we had, I was certified to teach, and I taught middle school. Well, no, I went to college, and I came back and taught middle school. Once the middle school kids were there, I'd gone to basic college, and then I taught high school.
hmm
Once we had all those folks taught, we then had a teachers college so that they could, because we had to teach ourselves these things because after the Revolution of Independence, it was difficult for us to organize. So that's one of the ways that we did that. So that
hmm
now it's time for me to be able to do this. He said, but I need you to understand something. My children's father is at home right now. And I said, what? What?
hmm
Because the community, they got uncles,
hmm
they got grandfathers, and the wife's brothers, my brothers. I am not present in the lives of my children,
hmm
even though I'm thousands of miles away, and I go home periodically to see them. But I'm here about this information so that I can take this back, so that
hmm
now when I go back, I can help expand and grow my community.
hmm
And that was one of the things, the most invaluable lesson he ever taught me was that, and how many of us now we get so caught up in this ego that that's my child, my child. That's not how we grew up.
Right now. Hmm
And again, and sometimes people weren't fair, so there's got to be a justice amount that has to be applied to it. But it's like, you ain't supposed to be acting like that over here. Just because
Right,
your mama ain't
exactly.
here,
hmm
don't make me have to call your mama.
Right. Yeah, the whole neighborhood were your parents, basically.
Yes,
Everyone
yes,
kept an eye out for you and made sure you kept straight and
yes.
informed you of things. So,
And one of the joys of my life, and I guess bane of my daughters and my son is I'm Baba, I'm Daddy everywhere I go.
hmm
I don't care what's happening. I'm if I'm with my children and another child is acting up and I'm gonna say something
hmm
because I'm that guy, and I'm not gonna be rude or disrespectful.
Right.
There and now we have these modern technological terms that we can use. One is called appreciative inquiry.
hmm
And all it is a way to ask a question as opposed to accuse someone and make them put them on the defensive. So you could say, stop that. Don't do that. Or you could say, is that what you're supposed to be doing?
hmm
Because we both know whether or not
Right.
you're supposed to be doing it.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And me as an adult you don't know telling you to stop, if you
hmm
don't know me and we don't have a relationship, that's also not likely.
hmm
However, if I know community and I know how you're brought up, I can ask you that question,
hmm
and then we can find out whether or not we have a similar background and upbringing.
hmm
Because it may be that, the way in which you've grown up, you don't know that.
Right. Very true.
And now that affords us an opportunity to have a conversation and for us
Mm-hmm.
to talk much more deeply about how we want to live in a shared space
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what that looks like and what their responsibilities are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Very good
Close
points.
that loop. We don't need to be afraid of our children. We need to love them. Our
Mm-hmm.
boys are suffering from physical touch deficit in terms of many of them don't know what it's like to have a real hug. A real hug to be healthy and healing is 20 seconds
Mm-hmm.
minimum. 20 seconds. That's like you holding somebody because they're about to move away.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even have that sense of touch in this culture between men anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that's
Where
something else that needs to be cultivated.
this is exactly, and this is what I'm doing. So it's not just
Mm-hmm.
on the martial arts side, it's that emotional
Mm-hmm.
healing, that sense of touch, that sense of wholeness,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm able to have access to all of my emotions, not just anger, not just sadness and tiredness. I can be happy, I can be melancholy, I can be frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
All the whole gamut.
Right. Yeah.
All of those emotions are mine and I can own them. And it's not and that means I may have tears. And the fun part about tears is you don't know what these tears are for.
Mm-hmm.
You could have said something really out of pocket to me and I'm just, oh God, please help me, just not help me, please. Just they don't know. It's not on them. It's
Mm-hmm.
me. And those tears are coming because I don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
something.
Right.
Or it may be that I'm laughing as a way to maintain the level of relationship and not retaliate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there are ways to community build, and there's structures and processes. We used to, the institution of a rites of passage program. So
Mm-hmm.
when we were growing up, they called it etiquette. The young girls would go to etiquette, and the boys would learn how to set a table and do those similar things. It was called that was just a continuation of what we did before that. It's a rites of passage, where you
Mm-hmm.
learn how to be an adult and what are your responsibilities and roles and expectations of the adults of
Right.
you as you become one of them. And there are
Mm-hmm.
different stages that you go through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so your first one is you're in your teens, male and female. But then there's one that when let's say you get married. So then the married people will talk with you about what marriage is like. So you have an understanding. Hey, you're confused.
Right. Yeah.
Then when you have a child, and those that have had child or gone through challenges in addition to the midwives,
Mm-hmm.
hugely important in community are the midwives.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Debbie Allen, shout out to Rasha, Tahani, Lawler Queen, my favorite midwives, amazing women who are at the forefront of the safety of black women and their survival in terms of maternal mortality. So we talk
Mm-hmm.
about community. That's a community. The mothering community in terms of being able to help black women
Right. Yeah.
survive birthing
Childbirth.
this
Mm-hmm.
culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Because
you
especially
see
if you're
how this
not
is
getting
all
in the
interconnected.
medical field, if you're not getting it from there, you can rely on your community to help you through, um, to
Yes.
make sure
And
you
I'm not
have
saying
a safe birthing process.
yes, and I'm not setting up an antagonistic relationship. I just
Mm-hmm.
talking about the history of our community and the medical
Mm-hmm.
establishment and the way in which the American Gynecological Association, the networks, has gone after and tried to get rid of the midwives that initially taught them how to
Mm-hmm.
practice what they practice.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
our traditions are so important to us because they have helped to keep us safe.
Mm-hmm.
As a Marimba Ani, I'm going to paraphrase, would used to tell us, she would say, practicing your culture is your insulation, it's your inoculation against this, in the toxic place that we find ourselves sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if enough of us are doing this work, then we have places we can go to detox, to rest, to support us when we need support,
Mm-hmm.
to aid us, to help us get moving, to help us heal, to help us work on our teeth, to
Mm-hmm.
help us, with our smile, to help us with our skin care, our body care, our heal, all of these different things, how we process our grief.
Mm-hmm.
That's not done alone either. That's done in community.
Right.
So
Yeah.
much of the joy you celebrate. It's nice if you could go tell one person,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so awesome when you. I mean, we have. I don't know about your family. We have a family group text,
Okay, yeah,
but
no, we
you
it's
know,
so few of us now. Most of everyone's passed away, so
okay, you get
yeah.
what I'm saying, though.
But yeah,
Even still, yeah, blessings on your family.
thank you.
That you have so many ancestors to call upon.
Mm-hmm.
So that enables you to really be able to move and get some stuff done on the earth here. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got mad help.
I do. I
So,
really do.
and the other piece is that if you look around and you don't see anybody, first off, take a look in the mirror. There's you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get with somebody else. Because remember, just because you only see you doesn't mean that your ancestors are not right there standing with you.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't believe, I say belief, but it is a knowledge. It's not belief is the start. We know that there is a seen world and an unseen world.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you don't see it, don't mean it ain't real.
Mm-hmm.
Like this air that we breathe that's all around us that we know is here.
Mm-hmm.
There's science, and we can get into the different aspects of science. I'm not going to create no arguments for you here today, but
We'll
what I
save it
will
for another
say,
time.
yes, indeed, I want to stay on focus around building community,
Right. Yeah.
and even in that, in places where we disagree.
Right. Which is actually, I'm gonna get to that's part of my next question,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
really. In today's increasingly fragmented society, why is building community more important than ever?
Well, okay, because if you have 15 organizations that are doing the same thing, not a whole lot's going to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's doing it separately. They're not collaborating. There's one thing if we're all over and it's 15 of us doing similar things all over. And we can
Mm-hmm.
try to come together and do a few things as well to help build and get the whole community gathered
Mm-hmm.
and maintain our local things as well. However, when you're few or by yourself, I mean, one person can make a difference. I'm not saying that's the case, but again, one finger as opposed to a whole hand or a whole fist, there's a difference in what and how it's used and what the context is within which you want to, a single stick doesn't make much noise.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bundle those sticks together, you have something quite strong. One stick is not strong. One finger is not as strong as all of them together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the whole hand at work together. So we have to begin to look at what is our strategy. And this goes back to, okay, so we strategize, organize, mobilize, implement, evaluate, strategize, mobilize. So it's and it doesn't have to go just that way, but you want to always have some strategy, but you got to have some organization to some structure. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to communicate and agree on the structure. And here's the thing, just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I got to leave.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of absolutist well, let me rephrase, not absolutist, but we have to find a way to process our emotion
Mm-hmm.
where we can disagree. Now, if someone is doing something that's egregious, like I talked about before, playing with the money, not being authentic, you know, uh, their words aren't matching their actions, we need to have tools in place for that. And we always have.
Mm-hmm.
So let's implement them and let's use them and let's do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, the cultivation of this in such a way where someone says, what I did was wrong. I'm going to leave this organization, for the leadership capacity. Someone else should lead. It should
Mm-hmm.
not be me. And be okay with that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And again, a visionary is not necessarily an implementer. So because you have a great vision, that's important. And one of my elders would say, you study the Haitian Revolution and you get a very clear understanding of how community functions. Because the work of Toussaint Louverture was very different than the work of Jean-Jacques Dessalines,
Mm-hmm.
who came after. And that's her name is Dr. Bayina Bello. Hugely important. You can also look at Mother Emanuel and Charleston, South Carolina, and Denmark Vesey, and the work that was done there, and how
Mm-hmm.
what community looks like.
Mm-hmm.
We have ample examples of how we can be successful with community. The Nation of Islam, the Moorish Science Temple of the 30s, the Garvey, Marcus Garvey and the UNIA and the ACL. So we know what the groups are. SNCC, SCLC. So we know, the NAACP. We know what models may or may not work for us.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is, are we going to cut out the ego?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to do what's best for the people, not what's best for you, your personality, your personal relationships,
Mm-hmm.
what's best for the group?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was all about. That's what their survival programs were implemented based on them engaging with community.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need the Black Panther Party for self-defense right now. We need an organization like that that meets the needs of today, that's teaching us about our education, about how to get food, clothing, shelter, about how to help people. We have the similar needs, but the context is different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we cannot apply the same. That's what's now we're at Sankofa. It's okay to go back and get it, but it cannot be with the same that you try to apply. We need
Mm-hmm.
a strategy for today. We need a tactic for today.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Yeah.
means that we have to come together. And if iron sharpens iron, if steel sharpens steel, that means that we have to be able to talk with one another. I love the poet Rumi, who says, if you bristle at every rub, how are you going to get polished clean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a great quote. And we see that, in today with all the various things that are thrown at us, and we keep telling people, just don't get caught up in the chaos for the most part. You can pay attention to what's going on, but it's thrown out there to cause division and lack of focus, and for you to keep grabbing at this and grabbing at that, and grabbing at this. So, yeah. So next, I want to ask about, how does a strong community contribute to individual well-being and societal harmony? I mean, you kind of spoke about that already. Actually, you spoke a lot about that. But is there anything else we want to say on that subject?
Well, definitely. Again, your community helps you cultivate your skills and talents. So when I'm in a place right now, and that is, well, let me not say it that way, but let me say it this way, that if you knew that you were always going to have a place to stay and you were always going to be able to eat, you never had to worry about a meal, would you look at the world differently? Yes, you would.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now the kind of family I live in is that even if I lost everything, I know that I would never go hungry and I would always have a place to stay for
Mm-hmm.
myself and my immediate family, my children, my wife, and I. So what then does that mean? That means that I am free
Mm-hmm.
to go out because of the nature of my community and serve and do the work that manifests the specific skills and the actual reason that I'm here on the planet today. I
Mm-hmm.
can go do that
Mm-hmm.
because I know that there's no failure. I can always go home. I can always my people got me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that means that if I'm meant to perform, if I play an instrument or write or build community, be a martial art, or whatever that skill is, my people got me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how it works. And so that's that responsibility that I talk about. I want it, and we also teach that. So we evoke that from the people around us. We invoke that from the people near us. My son is growing up in a martial community. I tell him we show up early. If you show up on time is late.
Mm-hmm.
We get there early. The main reason we get there early is because there may be something the teacher needs help with to get ready for the class.
Mm-hmm.
It's your responsibility as a proper student to be there timely enough to make sure that you can do your part so that when it's time to start class, everything is ready.
Mm-hmm.
That's from African culture. That's from many other indigenous cultures around the world. So for some reason, we don't really look at it the same way anymore. We look at someone as a servant, not providing a service. And
Mm,
so
mhm,
because of the twisted nature of the Holocaust of slavery or enslavement has put upon us, we look at work and workers as less than, as
mhm,
opposed to exalting them in the space of they're actually doing the work.
mhm, mhm.
They have an opportunity to serve.
Right. And
And I
and
can
workers are
remember,
like the life and blood of any society.
well, we learned that during the COVID shutdown, didn't we? We
Mm-hmm.
learned who was essential and who was not.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let us not. So that's what I mean. You want to talk about community?
Mm-hmm.
We know what it is because we survived COVID.
Mm-hmm.
People know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
The
do.
challenge is that once the approved distractions were returned to us, meaning sports and soap operas and commercial television and radio, once those things returned to us, we quickly forgot because the opiate was applied.
Because of what? I'm sorry, didn't hear.
I said the opiate
Mm-hmm.
was applied,
Mm-hmm.
and it lulled us back into a sleep. Like now you got these folks now. I'm anti woke. I don't. Your words are at odds with each other. I don't think you understand what you're saying, what you mean.
And I think many people don't understand what that really means. They're just repeating what is popular in that particular group that they're in, and
Yeah,
without really understanding what it actually means.
and so to have an effective community, we also have to cultivate discernment. We
Mm-hmm.
have to teach people how to listen, how to understand propaganda, how to read, how to listen, how to question.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I mentioned rumor control earlier on. I do that with my son. Well, I heard this. I said, well, who'd you hear it from?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, did they see it? Well,
Mm-hmm.
so then you shouldn't be saying anything if you missing these core details, should you? Oh yeah, you're right. I shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's again part of our culture. Now, I'm not knocking people that want to tell stories and people get me. Well, you talking about your brother and sister? I said, yes, you're right. And I'm talking about things that they have done. These are descriptions of what they have done and what they're going to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say it to their face the same way I'm saying it right now.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing out of school here. There's nothing hidden, and it's not gossip.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much, misinformation out there. And I feel, and especially in today's age, because there
Oh
is
yeah,
so much misinformation, that when you hear someone say a certain thing, you need to really check it. Not only just check your social media, double check things like that, but
right,
you don't know where they're getting their information from. So, um, so do your research before you spread whatever you believe is true, because whoever gave you that information may not be an accurate source.
right. And
So,
it's only one way to know that, and that's to
mhm.
actually do the work.
Absolutely,
And that
absolutely.
means you have to ask the question. You have
Hmm.
to, and it's okay to ask a question. Use the proper tone. You don't
Hmm.
have to be aggressive, and all of there are ways to do it.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you just do the best that you can do. And
Absolutely.
every day is not going to be the same.
Right.
I mean, if I've asked somebody 5 times to do something, I might have been sweet and pleasant the first 2 or 3 times,
Hmm.
but that fifth and sixth time, it's not. It's probably not going to be as sweet and pleasant. Because now I'm frustrated. Like, did you hear me? Did you not hear
Exactly.
me?
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
So there's going to be a tone difference because again, we are a frequency people, so there may be a tone difference in there.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm. Yeah.
that's
So,
all. Okay.
now, what role does spirituality play in fostering a sense of unity and connection within a community?
Well, put simply, it's at the root of everything that we do. Uh, the grief process is a spiritual process. The birth process is a spiritual process. We gather in community for birth. We gather in community for grief. We celebrate anniversaries, birthdays, celebrations, special occasions in community. That's ritualized behavior. When someone has a new business or a new home, we gather and
Mm-hmm.
it's ritualized in
Mm-hmm.
terms of, that's again, spirit is doing the things that animate us to our best selves that allow us to celebrate both amongst ourselves and in community. And it's a reminder of our relationship and responsibility to that which is
There
greater
we
than
go
our
back
soul.
to it. Relationship and responsibility.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yep. So, what practical tools or strategies do you recommend for individuals who want to initiate or strengthen a community?
Well, learn how to listen, cultivate humility. Uh, if you're gonna, don't be the first one to speak because if you're new in a place, you really have no right to talk. Let the people that are the elders or the older, gain the support of the people by doing it right.
Hmm.
When I walk into a new place, I'm not trying to be the first person that speaks
Hmm.
because I want the people with the experience and the know-how to talk. Now, I
Hmm.
may bring a fresh set of eyes to it, but there's a time for that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, know your role,
Hmm.
and there is a place for everyone in the circle.
Hmm.
And the circle is a representation of community. And so if we know that there is a place for everyone and everyone will have their time to shine, the point is getting yourself ready and prepared through study and practice and listening
Hmm.
so that when it is your time to lead or to be in front, you will be not only prepared, you will be ready.
Prepared and ready.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
So, how can people mediate and resolve conflicts effectively within a community to prevent division and maintain trust?
Well, one, they have to be taught. And in our community, there are places where you can go and you can learn how to be taught. I know that in the coming months, I will be doing some things in community, follow our socials, where we'll be offering ways to learn that. But first, the tool we're going to be offering is around healing. So learning about how you deal with conflict,
Hmm.
learning what do you have a conflict style. So learning what kind of a pattern do you have? Uh, Mediation is a skill, so you need to be able to practice it, but it starts with listening. It starts with active listening. And there are, tools that can train you how to actively listen, how to reframe. These are the kind of the basics of facilitation.
Hmm.
And those are things anyone can grasp, in a couple of hours in a class and, there are different agencies, wherever you may be that actually offer that. There's an organization called NAFCOM. It's a National Association for Community Mediation.
Yeah.
And they, look them up. There may be chapters in your local community. Here locally, we have, I think about five or six in Los Angeles County
Okay.
that actually do community mediation work.
Hmm.
So it just depends on how your community is and where you are, wherever you are viewing this. So you
Hmm.
can, and also you don't have to do the work. Okay.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna have to get back with my old hip hop. I can give it to you, but what you gonna do with it?
Right, exactly. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So,
Exactly.
hmm. Hmm.
You can give people the link, but you ain't got to click.
Exactly, absolutely. So, what advice would you give to someone who feels isolated or disconnected but wants to become part of a thriving community?
Okay. Well, advice is a strong word. Okay, so what
Or what some
what
tips?
what I would suggest
Hmm.
or share with them would be depending upon their context, because first off, let's look at what is the feeling of isolation, where is that coming from, and working through that. How is family, what's that relationship? Let's work through some things. Let's make sure we're healing,
Hmm.
and then what is it you like to do? Are you passionate about something? Is it writing? Is it poetry? Because if it is, maybe you want to go to a Nanzi Writers Workshop. They meet. on Wednesdays at the World Stage and Performing Arts Center? Is it an instrument you want to play? Is there a particular skill that you want to develop, like public speaking? So you may want to go to, Optimists or Toastmasters. So depending upon, do you have children? Is there, you might even want to, is there a program at the library? Do you like comedy? You want to be, you want to entertain? So it just depends on what it is that you're passionate about. I would say follow your passion,
Mhm.
and that will lead you where you want to go, and give yourself some compassion at the same time. Don't
Mhm.
look at building community as a checklist. Like I gotta,
Mhm.
it's something that's cultivated that grows. So you have to make sure you got the building blocks, make sure it's there, and let it happen organically.
Mhm.
Again, most of the people that you may or may not be close to, it didn't happen overnight. It
Mhm.
happened, and then you kept at it. So
Mhm.
don't get frustrated, just keep at it.
Yeah, yeah. Any final thoughts?
I am grateful for the opportunity to be present to serve. I would humbly offer that each of you to spend the time to learn the story of yourself and your family. Learn about your name and where it came from and where your people came from. How did you get to be where you are?
Mhm.
And not just the sad stories, I want to know about the triumphant stories too, because all of our families have them. And the point is to find yours. And through that, you may even find your own purpose
Mhm.
and a thing that you
Yeah.
really enjoy and want to do. And then you'll be, and if you're looking at, well, what can I do? Go look for where somebody's helping. And you can just start there. Just help the helpers.
Mhm.
You can go to an open community meeting. There's a lot that are popping up on your social media feeds. Check them out. Find what you're interested in. Is it social work? Is it gang intervention? Is it violence prevention? Is it maternal health? Is it infant mortality? We got a whole list. Is it psychology? Do you want to learn a martial art? Do you want to, heal? You want to get better? Do you want to learn about herbs and plants? All those things are available to you. You
Mhm.
have to come through the doorway. Seba is a word which means teacher. It also means door. It also means star in the same language. Because a star may point the way, but you have to be able to identify where it is in the sky and move towards it if you're going to reach your destination. When you get to the door, it isn't that the door is an obstacle as much as if the door is open, you must walk through it to get to what's on the other side.
Mhm.
And a teacher is one that does not tell you the path, but listens to you and offers you from their experience and seeks to draw out of you what already exists within you and help you see it so that
Mhm.
you are able to walk your path.
Mhm.
In order to do that, you got to take those steps. So that's you still doing the work, see?
Yep.
And
Gotta
once
do the
you
work.
do the work, that means you accept the responsibilities of your actions.
Mhm. Yeah.
You are a member of the circle. And when the time comes, do the work so you can be prepared and ready to play your part.
Mhm.
Dua, thank you. Ashe.
Mhm. Thank you so much. And one other thing, can you tell people where they can support you, learn more about your organization or anything that you're doing?
Certainly, you could find us on well, all the socials. We're at Casa Aha, which is KHASAAHA. All one word. Or you can search my name Inpu on all the platforms. I'm available there. You can check us out. We're not on TikTok yet, but that's because I'm an older man, and so we're taking me a little time to get to the tickety talk. So young people, don't worry, we're gonna be over there soon too. However, we are wherever you are, doing work on the ground in community, online, building it not just through martial art, but through social emotional healing, through the work of getting to know ourselves better and remembering who we are, through teaching people how to remember what community and what relationship and responsibility are really like and about. I thank you for the opportunity. Look for us online. Check us out. Support us the best that you can. I'm also in person. I teach Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong and Yoga in Leimert Park if you're in the greater Los Angeles area, 10 o'clock on Saturdays.
Okay. Cool.
Katapu, peace unto you.
Thank you so much. It was such an honor to have you here and sharing your knowledge of community. So really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your platform and for allowing me to share the little bit that I have that was given to me by my ancestors and elders. Thank you.
Great.